Doc here from North America. Wild action today, or if you can call it wild, I don't know. What the Fed wants, the Fed will get. I think that's what it all comes down to. And at this point, interest rates are now the 10-year. I think I accidentally said the 30-year yesterday a couple times, but the 10-year now is in the 125s, 124s. Another 6 basis points down. I mean, it's just like that's what they want. They want lower rates, and they're not going to quit until they get what they want. And it's unfortunate. It's not as Janos would say, it's not a free market anymore. Or let's put it this way: fundamentals do not function the way they're supposed to anymore, and the guideposts are very confusing and so forth and so on. But that's what it is, and that's how we play it. We follow the math, and that's usually most times out of 8.5 out of 10, it usually does what it's supposed to do. Or let's put it this way: the math tells us what it's going to do ahead of the time when it does it. That's pretty much where it comes down to. And it all comes down to patience in the end, really. And not putting on too large a position, or in other words, just putting on a position that you can afford the whole bit. Having, using money management, stops, and so forth. You do that, and it's all going to work out pretty well for you. So anyway, let's jump into it. Let's take a look at the Swiss this morning. Let's see, right here, that's Canadian from yesterday. Let's take a look at the Swiss right underneath the Canadian. Where are you? There you are. Excuse me. And so Swiss is moving up, and oh no, Swiss is moving down now. Okay, so Swiss is moving down. So maybe they've finally gotten fed up with the dollar. I don't know. We'll take a look and see. On here it is right there on the Chicago Quant. Yeah, look at that. All right, maybe they're getting a little fed up with the dollar. Maybe there's a little nervousness. Finally, this king dollar thing is becoming very irritating, and it seems to be playing against this channel that we've been watching almost a year now for. I think just where we watch this lines. We keep these lines in there because it seems to have some relevancy since basically August of last year, late July. It broke through it. We've been watching that area be supported for a long, long, long time. See how far away it is from there. And so it seems to have become the area where the dollar hits, stops, and makes a move down or takes off on the way up. And watching it through the Swiss has been our nature now for like the last 4 or 5 months. All right, let's jump over to, since no one's asking any questions, it's kind of quiet this morning, so that's fine. Let's jump over to, let's go to the euro. See what the euro is doing. Now the euro is trying to lift up. We've been in a sell for a little while in here, and we're in that weekly sell from up in here. This could be a dead cat bounce in the end result. Anything's possible. When people are making money, the smart ones take profits, and it shifts the market a little bit. And then the foolish ones, who, or I don't know if they're foolish, but they jump in accidentally and have issues. And so you got to be careful about all that. It all comes down to quantitative analysis and patience, and just all the basics to good money management. And that's where it really comes down to in the end. So let's see. So that's the euro, and the euro is just basically doing its thing at this point. It's trying to lift up a little bit, but not going anywhere particular. Let's take a look at that Swiss again. Did the Swiss break lines, or is it just moving down? Oh yeah, it did that too. Look at that. So the Swiss is really moving down to the point where it's going into a daily sell again. So the only problem is it's weekly here. The weekly doesn't want to let go, and so that's the thing to pay attention to. Is this could be just literally just testing this range here, like an inside range inside this bigger range. And so they've taken some profits, and the next thing you know is zoom to the moon, Alice. And so that's what it really comes down to. What I mean by zoom to the moon, Alice, it means that it can take off at any time all over again, just when you thought it was safe to try to be a bear. We don't get into a weekly sell, no reason to try to short this thing. All right, let's take a look at cable. Cable situation. You can see here, it's went into the sell here yesterday. Let's put that line in there. And it's moving down against the dollar, I guess. Yeah. And whereas the other two products are moving up, and we're in a weekly sell on that, and that's not something you want to wrestle with. Also, in other words, as long as the weekly is in that trend, try not to fight the weekly and longer term trend. That's one of the issues that people have a natural tendency to do, is fight things. And when you fight them, it can be damaging, because the math is going to be 8.5 out of 10 right for, I don't know, 4 or 5 decades. I've measured it in expanding galaxies with a thermodynamic characteristic that's gone back 37 million years. The math has been tested on isotopes. It works in the small, works on the big, it works on the real friction, what we refer to in physics as a friction universe, not a frictionless universe. So in other words, it means it's real. No, what is that? Do I have to recycle that? Let's see what's going on there. Looked like it froze somewhere along the line there. There we go. I had to recycle that. There's Alan. How you doing, Alan? Good morning to you. Yeah, I didn't see the numbers. I jumped into the webinar. I missed that. Did they have an effect? I guess we can see on the. Let's move the short term. Where's that at? Right there. And just see, how do I do this? Let's see. I go like that. And I think the short term, we'll use this as the short term on the S&Ps. Not the S&Ps, the NASDAQ. So yeah, I guess they bounced off of it. Where was it? So 730. Where's 730? 730 is right here. The news came out right there. Right around here, actually. 730. News came out here. They took it up a little bit, took it down, and now they're taking it up again. So I guess, yeah, no real effect. Huh. Interesting. I think I might put that down below so I can see it live. If I can figure which button to push again. There it is. Unless anybody wants to see anything. Hey, Robin. Hey, Samantha. So, yeah, I guess the numbers didn't have much effect. We have the markets overall just feeling the pressure. What's interesting to see cable going down. Let's see, where is that at? Let me put that up there. So cable is playing underneath that 38 area again. It seems like it's developed a range in the high 37s to the low 40, the high 42s. I guess that's the best way to describe it. So, what else can we say about this stuff? I mean, it's an interesting morning. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down about 500 points. Right there. So they're putting pressure on these products. We saw this failed neck. Remember yesterday I was talking about the failed neckline in the head and shoulders of the Dow Jones? Well, 24 hours later, it's down 500 points. Interesting. What a lucky guess that was, huh? And that is what's, that's what we do around here. We try to follow some of the, signals that everything comes out on. We really don't talk about something if we don't have some, what's the word I'm looking for? Some real proof that's going on, I've mentioned it before in the webinar. Couldn't do the work if I didn't have the tools. That's really what it comes down to. Oh, sure, let's see what the yen's doing. I'd imagine the yen would be going down against the dollar at this point. So let's check and see. Right there. Yeah. Moving down. It's in a daily sell for 3 days. Now, the weekly, you can see here, the weekly tried to pierce it, and now it has. And now we are flattening out to the zero line, getting very close. So let's take a look at it. Let's go like this. Let's go over and look at it on J4X. Right there we go. So it's doing the same exact thing as our work right here. So you move this down a little bit like that, move this up a little bit like so, and you can see both of them together. Like that, yeah. A little bit more. There we are. So you can see here it's doing basically the same thing. It's pressing down. Oh, actually, like that. There you go. That works out well. You see them both working their way down. Russia is yeah, I saw that yesterday. All its U.S. holdings. I said they're almost done. They have a $190 billion sovereign fund, and they sold. So they sold everything denominated in dollars, I guess. We'll see if that makes any sense. I mean, you're fighting the Fed. So I saw that yesterday. I'm not sure what else to think about that, really. You know, we saw the same thing with China, and the Chinese said, we're going to go sell our bonds, and so I think they sold like 40 or 50 billion dollars worth, right? And everybody was like, oh my God, they're moving out of the U.S. bond market. They're one of the biggest players in there. Well, let's put it this way. They're one of the biggest foreign players in there. The biggest player in there is the American people. So, we own 46 or 47 or something like that % of all our bonds, the American people itself. So the rest of the world owns about 53% of it. And Japan and China are about the same amount each, and then Europe is pretty good in there, and so forth. So the story goes basically is that here we are doing our webinars, and I keep on saying I don't believe the Chinese are selling. And they're reporting that well, they've lightened up now $70 billion, and then it's $80 billion, and all of a sudden, at the same time they're lightening up, in Brussels, in Belgium, there's this buyer buying U.S. bonds, and they're buying 100 billion, then they're buying 150 billion, then they're buying 200 billion, then they're buying 250 billion, and then they get up to about 300 billion, and everybody's like, the GDP of Belgium is not 300 billion. How can someone in Belgium afford to buy U.S. bonds? And sure enough, it was the Chinese. So it's probably the same thing with the Russians. The sovereign fund is only $190 billion, so I mean, how much can it be really, how much can it be invested into dollars? It's not exactly a big fund. Mr. Putin has more money than that. And so, where are they buying American bonds? That's the bigger question. It's not who's selling them. The question more comes down to who's buying them. We've seen this story before. One moment, a sovereign nation or a sovereign nation fund is telling you how they're selling it. And the next thing you know, they're buying it somewhere else. Let's see. They are attacking the petrodollar. I guess, let's look at let's look at that. Because I think that's a good topic. I wanted to talk about that today. Let's take a look at that. That's there's crude oil. And we were stuck in the sell from here. And we're in a weekly buy. So it wouldn't let you get long. My math for 4 days is driving me crazy. Won't let you get long. Won't let you get long. It keeps on telling you, warning, warning, Will Robinson. Warning, warning, warning. Do not buy this. Do not buy this. And look where it's at now. It's lower. But we're in a weekly buy. So this has been a whole neutral position right there. Whole neutral position. And it's been warning you. You're in a weekly buy. You're in a daily sell. Stay neutral. And sure enough, it is now lower than where it started from. But it drove us crazy for a couple of days. We talked about it. The math picks up on this stuff. It reads it ahead of me. I can tell you that. You know, the math is the whole story in the end result. It really is. And I don't know if everybody can appreciate that at times. I keep on saying, you got to believe it's the math that I invented it more than it's me personally. It's the math I've invented. And I invented it 40 some odd years ago, back in 77, when I was a student in England, fighting Higgs boson. And, you know, it's been a very fascinating tool for 40 some odd years, you know, 44 years now. And it amazes me all the time. And so, you know, here's a perfect example of it right there. I mean, it just warned us over and over, and I kept on saying that too. It's like, you know, just don't know what that means. And sure enough, what it meant was, do not be so aggressive with the weekly buy. That's what it was saying. It was saying, okay, it's a neutral. It started screaming it right here. Let's move this over a little bit more. It started screaming it right there. It said, and we should make that like yellow, because it's like warning, 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 you know? And that's what it did. It gave us that warning over and over and over again, you know, and everybody's looking at this, that's in a weekly buy, Doc. Can't we be long? It's like, no, the daily's telling you, no. I don't know why no. Just, it is. It's just telling us no. And sure enough, there's the proof in the pudding, you know? So I guess they're attacking the petrodollar. I don't see it moving that much. I mean, you got to really think about it. It's still in a weekly buy. It's still above the 70s. It went into the weekly buy in the mid 60s, so it's doing just fine, really. Just a little profit taking more than anything else, probably. That's the way I look at it, profit taking. And the math picked up on it. I think, if anything, I'm excited about is the fact that every day the math does this for me. It's amazing. It is amazing. It blows my mind for going on 5 decades now. It blows my mind. I mean, in the beginning, I had no real idea exactly how this was working. I just knew that it seemed to have some success. When I joined the exchange floor in 80 and 81, you know, I put it I started putting it to the stocks. You know, I was fighting the Higgs boson at the time. I was an anti-accelerator person. I didn't know what I was building. All I was trying to do is measure objects in a real world situation. That is literally it. I tried to measure objects in a real world situation, and I was trying to measure atomic particles. And you know, when I got to the exchange, I thought, well, let's put the math to the stock market. What the hell? And, you know, I got nothing better to do. It seemed to be working right with the atomic particles, and sure enough, it was doing the same thing in real world, in real friction world. So, you know, and then in 2013, you know, I saw it did the same thing with measuring galaxies. It's like, I don't know what this math is all about. It's thinking on its own. I just invented it, or I guess it is. I didn't invent it. I discovered it. That's what it comes down to. I discovered it. And there's your classic right there. How many days did I tell you I was confused about this? I was looking at it. I was confused. It was the same thing with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The thing went into a sell 3 days ago, and I saw this big pattern here of the head and shoulders failure, and I started sending it out to everybody and saying, something's wrong here. Warning, warning. I even sent out emails with it saying, warning, warning. You know, it's just like, you know, the math just tells you. And it's been in a weekly sell. Look at it since the failure of the, let's make that thing go all the way up. Let's see, where is it? Right there. So it's been in the failure. Now, let me say this as an old floor trader. As usual, what have you done for me lately? That's exactly what it comes down to. We always figure that out in the end. So let's go back to the currencies. Let's take a look at the Turkish lira. I'd imagine it's still going down because of the rest of the world is going down. But instead, no, it's just going sideways. And it's trying to get back up again. You know, so it's in the weekly buy. You know, I kind of think it wants to blow through these yellow dots. That's why I keep them there. I think it gets up to them and hits it and falls. Did it there. Hits it and falls. Goes up in there, hits it and falls. If it does it a third time, watch out, traders. This thing could jump to the 9.5s, and when it comes to the dollar, you know, it could really jump to 9.5. So, challenging petrodollars. To me, it just looks like profit taking at this point. I don't see like any. The Federal Reserve, you know, I'll caveat everything with the Federal Reserve. You can't fight the Fed. They've got more money than anybody on the planet. They can print money all they want. No one's stopping them. They know. They're almost like Santa. They're like Santa Claus. They know when you're good. They know when you're bad. They know what you invest in. They are paying people. They're. How do I say this correctly? I want to say they're paying people off, but they are paying people off. But like Citadel, how does Citadel get like $1 billion overnight for free all the time? You know, same thing with Goldman Sachs, and the same thing with Citibank and Deutsche Bank. They're giving them $1 billion a night to trade for free. So, how do you fight an entity like that? How do you challenge an entity like that? You just can't. And you got to figure that they've removed the floor people. People like Robin and myself are not on the floors anymore. You know, I hadn't been on the floor since the mid '90s or something like that. You know, I knew the electronic age was coming in, and you know, and I think my last seat that I was on was like 2001 or 2002 or some crazy period of time. So, you know, it's basically there are no real floors anymore. So those people are not lobbying the politicians anymore. You know, they kind of like disappeared. In other words, they were a voice challenging, keeping the Federal Reserve in check. You know, trying to keep the politicians in check. They're gone. They don't exist. The New York Stock Exchange doesn't exist. It's like a bowling alley. You can walk across the floor and you could throw a bowling ball and not hit anybody. Same thing with the Chicago Mercantile. Same thing with the NYMEX. You know, it's the same thing everywhere. They have a couple option pits floating around. That's about it. You know, it is what it is now, and that is that the central banks across the planet control the markets. And how do you fight entities like that? That you know, when Lloyd's of London went bankrupt, they stood up and held, you know, kept it afloat by name. When Deutsche Bank went bankrupt, they held it up and, you know, kept it in business by name. Same thing with Citibank, Santander, yes, Bank of Scotland, you know, Merrill Lynch. I can go on with names, Bear Stearns. I can keep on going on with names that are historic names. They're all held up by the Federal Reserve. That's who's holding them up. So, you know, it's just a whole different era since 2008. This is the QE era, and you can't fight them. And if they want this to play dead for a little while, it'll play dead. I mean, look at the bond market. I mean, they've got, like I started off this webinar today. Here's the 30-year. Look at it. It's yielding like 193 or something like that. You know, it's come down a whole %. You know, the 10-year. Look at the 10-year that I was quoting yesterday, calling it the 30. You know, the 10-year. Look at the 10-year. It's ripping. It's like 125. Yesterday it was 132, and everybody was excited because it came down from 139 no more than 3 days ago. It's dropped 14. I mean, how do you fight that? You don't fight that. You trade with it. If the math says be long, more than likely it's following the Fed. And when the math says be short, it's following the Fed. But it sure isn't following the herd. There is no herd anymore. The herd has gone to slaughter. What do they say? Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs go to slaughter. So that is what it is. All right, where do we jump off from here? We just did the Turkish lira and the currencies. And so let's go back to the currencies and take a look at Canadian. Oh, you know what we did do? What we did not do is look at the euro Turkish lira. See, it's warning us. we've been seeing this thing play with the weekly sell. We've been seeing it playing in the daily sell with just like the. See, look at that. It's flirting. Look at that flatlining right on the math. I mean, look at plot 1. It's 0.000, and plot 4 is minus 0.001. I mean, it's flatlining. Now, look at that. The daily is trying to perk up after going into the sell from here. So, this might be the turning point, telling us that they're going to bottoming it. They're bottoming it out, and they're going to lift it again. Now let's drift over to it. What a quiet day. Is everybody kind of stunned to the action? Maybe. I'm stunned from the action. All right. I guess it's not stunned. I am just in awe of how well the math follows it. That's the thing that really blows my mind. All right. I have these little the fangs on. I've been bought them and thinking that this market wants to roll over. It's been a big fight. We've seen this. I've had so many new market signals where it's usually the sign of a top. We've had dozens of them. I've back tested that system all the way back to the 1920s. I've seen it. If we had 4 or 5 in a week, it was a massive sell-off in the market. If it was running up. If we had 4 or 5 in a week and the markets were down enormously, like in March of 2020, we had a massive run up. I've had a dozen new market signals over like a 7-8 week period, and this market just keeps on climbing. It just refuses to give up. It just doesn't stop, and it's telling us that it wanted to run up. And then we got new market signals. Last week we got 2. We got the DOW30, and I think it was the NASDAQ. Both of those. Let's see. Let's take a look. How do I get there? Let's see. I'm going to go there this way. It's easier. This way it'll throw it right up there, and I don't have to try to find it live. Actually, I should show it to you live. Let's show it to you live. Right there. And here it is live. And look at it, it's played right down to the red mark. Today is Wednesday. We had new wave in Dow utility and the NASDAQ. And so it hit this, here is Monday, right, Tuesday, and now Wednesday. It's traded down to the line. Now this line was generated here on May 30th. So it played the top of it, now it's playing the bottom of it. And you can see the pressure is there. We're in the weekly. You can see this is the failed head and shoulders. And so this is the action we're watching. But I mean, it goes back and back and back. Matter of fact, let's see, I have another one in there. There's the June one. And look at all the new wave signals. I mean, tons of them. Look at them. I'm writing them on there. They don't occur all the time. I mean, they just don't occur. This has just been wild. So basically from the, what is this, the 31,000 area, I've been getting new market wave signals. It's run to the 35. It's gone 4,000 points up on it. That's a wild thing. Now we're getting, but every time it's at a high, I'm thinking that it's a top, and they don't top it. And I imagine they'll support this area here. I have a hard time believing that this is the June contract. I have a hard time believing that they'll take it down too hard. Let's go back to the updated one in September. Yeah, so I mean, maybe they'll bring it back down another 1,000 points down to here. We'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence in it. If the Fed wants it to happen, it'll happen. If the Fed doesn't want it to happen, it won't. And the math will tell us either way. 8.5 out of 10 times it always does. There's the March one. You can see how many warnings we had in March. And that's 2000. Back in March, futures contract. So that started off in what was that? December, right? Yeah. So that started in DEC, right? And, it just fought it. It just refused to let go. And now, when that expired, we went to the June contract. And we'll see. We'll see how they play it out here. I would assume they're not going to let the stock markets fall too far. I mean, that seems to be the recipe of it all in the end. All right. Let's see. What should we look at now? Let's jump over to the ruble. And you can see the ruble's been moving up. They've raised rates. They're concerned about inflation. So we're seeing that. We're seeing the weekly through the number right here. We've been in a daily buy since the 72s. We're in the 74s. What's today's high? 75.35. So, and then let's take a look at the South African Rand, and then we can go take a look at gold. See what gold and silver are doing. Right there. Imagine it's moving down, right? No, look at that. See, it's not even following the natural tendency. Because, I mean, we're in a weekly sell in gold, so, I mean, it's doing what it should be doing. The math is telling us that's correct. But our minds tell us, no, this has got to be crazy. They got to be buying this stuff. And the last I saw, gold was higher. There you go. Gold is higher. Yesterday it settled at 802. Today it's trading at 817. It's up $15. You would think that the South African Rand would be heading down, not up. But we're in a weekly sell. And because we're in that longer overall trend, the South African Rand knows better. It doesn't fight I don't want to say it doesn't fight the math. What it's doing is it's following the math the way it's supposed to do, which is beyond your normal logic of things, And then silver, look at silver, barely. It settled yesterday, silver at 26.13. Today it's trading at 26.20. No, I'm sorry, now it's minus. Is that right? No, closed it, it's 21, that's it, 26.21. So yeah, so it's up 7 cents. But again, it's been in a weekly sell since the 28s. And all it does is flirt with the high 25s and the low 26s. All right, let's see. Let's go back to the currencies again and see who else. Oh, Mexican peso. Mexican peso was making some real noise lately. It was a real tip-off of something to come. I mean, look at that wild hump in there. We talked about this yesterday. Now they're trying to throw it into the weekly buy. It's in a daily buy for a couple days, and it's pushing up. I thought the math is not that great lagging. Which one's that? Is that MT? Which one? Which one is that? The on the the 4X on the J4X. Well, it's public indicators. It's not my proprietary math. It's just the it's the what we've done is we've taken the best I can find and put it on the J4X. And when you're not tuned into the webinar, at least you have something to lean on, you know what I mean? You're talking about the J4X, right? MT? Or Mr. Oh, Mr. Bub, okay. How about if we just call you Bub? Hey, Bub, you're talking about the J4X? Well, it's a good indicator. It lags, but then it's a public indicator, so I wouldn't expect it to be too far ahead, Now, when it comes to my math, there's nothing better out there. If it is, it's hidden. That's all. To give you a good flavor of it. Well, we've been showing you a good flavor. Tell me what product you'd like to look at. We'll take a look at it. Let's see, where are we at now? So that's the Mexican peso. Mexican peso is doing its thing. It's trying to lift up. We'll see how they play that out. Let's go to, let's see what, I guess we've done the currencies that we normally look at. If anybody wants to see anything on the currency side, let me know. We'll jump over to it. All right, now let's go over to the commodities. We've seen silver, we've seen gold. Let's see what they're doing to platinum this morning. Right there. Moving down. It's not even up. Whereas the other two products are. Yeah, it's just it just shows you how weak the whole complex is. You know, if you'd have told me, I say this all the time, and I'm just repeating myself, but if you'd have told me in 2007 what the central banks are doing across the planet, and you know, Merrill Lynch is gone, and Lloyd's of London is gone, they're just don't exist anymore, only in name. They went bankrupt and they're being propped up. You want to see the dollar yen? Sure. If you'd told me that, I'd really think these things would be, you know, silver would be $70 an ounce, honestly. Really does surprise me. I guess it's the central banks because they use it as a currency now. Okay, so there you are. You can see it's still pressing down. Again, we'll be watching this, see if it does close this week in a weekly sell. All right. Let's see. What's next? Alan, you have anything else you'd like to look at? Seems like a quiet day here. I think they're pressing down harder again, aren't they? Let's see. Let me see where things are. Looks like they're making new lows. Nah, they're not making new lows. The low's 544. Let's see. And it's trading at, where's it trading at? Yeah, so it's like 40 points. They're off the lows. The S&P 500 minus 61. It was almost minus 70. So they're bouncing back in here. Gold. Let's see if gold. Yeah, we just looked at gold. Let's look at it again. Alrighty, gold. And we'll take a look at it through J4X too at the same time. There's gold there. You can see it's trying to lift up. At least one metal's or flight to safety product is trying to lift up. I'd imagine cryptos are moving up. We'll take a look at cryptos too. There's gold on J4X. You can see it's trying to lift up in there. It's doing fine. Even if silver, and silver's up too. So I mean, at least they're making a move on the right side. Here it comes. There you go. You can see it's a bunch of days now. It's trying to press up. We've rolled over in gold. But this is trying to hold up. It's interesting. So my math is warning us that this is short-lived. That's what it's telling us. It's a short-lived trade. Now let's take a look at the cryptos. And Dukascopy has the Bitcoin on there. There it is right there. Oh, look at that. They're knocking it down. You would think that it would be up. I kind of thought that that was the alternative to you know, the market. You can see it there too on ours. Now we've been in a daily sell. It tries to get into a buy. Let's see, let's fix that. It tries to get into a buy. I must have pushed the one in there somewhere in the wrong place. And so it's trying to get into a buy, but it just doesn't seem to be able to get going in there. You can see it there. It's pressing down still. Kind of curious. Keep on expecting to see the cryptos to do their job. You know, divert from being you know, the regular asset class. But it seems like they, you know, the Federal Reserve could be literally trading the futures contract on that now, and we would not know it. So, I mean, they could be plowing money into some fund somewhere that is putting pressure. They don't have to buy the cryptos itself. They just go short the futures contract through a third party. And that is usually the way they do it. I mean, they plow money into Citadel and every other hedge fund that they can manipulate or influence on some level. So it doesn't surprise me if they do it on these things too at the same time. So, all right, now what do we got going on here? Let's take a look at Let's see, what do we take a look at here? There's Bitcoin. We just did gold in J4X. Let's go. I'm trying to think what currency we haven't seen. You know, let's see. Aussie went into a daily sell yesterday. Let me just take a look at the Aussie real quick. I thought that was curious. Dollar Aussie, right there. We'll put it up on Chicago Quant. Oh, did it really? Let's take a look at that. I kept the page up for that too. Let's see, where is it at? Let's find it. Yeah, I left the page up for that too, because I was curious. Where is it at? It's right here. I'll have to bring that up on the board. There we are. You can see the VIX. I also gave a warning a couple days ago. It went into a daily buy and tried to fluctuate, but we got a volatility signal out of it yesterday, and now it's leaping up. Now the weekly is trying to turn up. But here is, this is what do you call it? Coffee. So it's moving down, but the weekly has not, gone into any major sell. But the daily has kept you in the sell from this area here. So it's, it's kind of a neutral stance at this point. But coffee, yeah, that was right here, I would say. That was one of the higher numbers right there where it settled. And we have a client that follows this. So I kind of pay attention to it. I like coffee, but I like drinking it too. But I think it's a good trading product. This tags was interesting. This tags is an ETF of 4 commodities: soybeans, corn, and wheat, and the 4th one is sugar. What a fascinating combination. All right. Let's see. Let's put that back down again. Tags, like tags, you're it. All right. Any other particular products anybody want to see? Let me see it. Oh, and I want to double check that. Yeah, see, it's down today. So coffee hit a new high. It was about 4 or 5 days ago. See that right there? That's where it is right there. This is the ETF to it. All right. What else do we got going on here? Take a look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, like I said, it's trying to pick up a little bit right there. Look, oh, you know what? Also, I was warning about the Russell 2000. It was showing lots of weakness. It's taking out that low. It's like fighting to go to this low. We'll see if they take out that low from there. I think I showed it to you yesterday on the warning of it all. All right, what else do we got brewing right here, traders? S&Ps, putting it. We'll see how it plays out. Wouldn't surprise me if they stayed down today. I have to believe that the Fed wants to make it look like the markets are open and free, but at this point, everybody knows that they're totally in control. They're totally controlled by the Fed. So maybe they'll put a little correction in here. People are asking for a correction. Maybe the Fed will give it to them. It's been a massive run, so what the heck. Next one would be, where are we at? We've seen the bonds, and that's the 30-year. We've seen the crude oil right there. And let's give it a refresh too. Control R. There we are. We've done a pretty good job today. We've looked at a lot of interesting things. Doc, what's the math all showing is, let's see, on the year, let's see. Okay, so Alan says, Alan says, Doc, what's the math all showing? Is there more pain to come? On the downside? Well, if we get into weekly sells, yeah. But if we're just in daily sells and a weekly buy, it means they're just going to turn it back up. That's all it is. We'll just have to wait and see. We just follow the math. That's all we can do. And that would make a lot of sense too. I mean, you got to take some profits. I mean, you do. I mean, when you have positions on and you're making money in them, if you don't take them off when you're making money, the next time you find yourself taking them off is when you're losing money. So you got to take some off when you're making money. And then use good money management, have some stops or collars or whatever, you know. All right, now what do we got going on here? Does that answer your question? And so, do I really think we'll see 33,000 on the Dow? Yeah, I kind of doubt it. But we might see, you know, say 33,400 or something like that. It may come challenge these lows here. I'd be surprised if they go after this. If they do, that would be great. I'd love to see something like that. Everybody's begging for a correction at this point. Everybody's begging for some type of correction. So that would be, you know, about the best way of describing it. No problem. Just have to wait for the math to play itself out. And then, let's see what else is there going. And then, I'm really surprised platinum is getting beat up. Can you imagine that? You got to figure that the buyers of gold and silver must be selling platinum. They must be doing the spread. Let's see what the spread is. So what do we got? We got gold on the screen here. No, that's Aussie. Let's put gold on the screen again in Dukascopy. And see what the spread is. We've been bearish since 1,050. And it went to like 480, 490. So there it is, trading at 1814. And let's see where platinum is trading. Right there, July platinum is trading at 1,080, say. No, I'm wrong. Bid is 65 at 67. So let's say 66, 1066, we'll round it out. So what is that? That's 34 and 18. So that's 848, 849. So we've come off of the 480s, 470s and got up, you know, we've doubled almost. And we're still 300 points below where we were bearish at. So that's the action we're seeing in the metals market. Is I have to assume they're doing some type of unwind. If temps in the coffee, temperatures in the coffee or growing areas rise only a few degrees, we will have a coffee shortage. Coffee cherries will not develop. Yes, coffee is a cherry. The pit is the bean. Okay. And so you see a strong dollar. Thank you, Robin. And then you see a strong dollar. Alan says, you know, it's been strong all year. You know, it really has. You know, let's see if we can find. We'll put it. Let's see. We can do that on Dukascopy. It'll be perfect. We can show you the dollar index on here. It's on here somewhere. Right. Let's see. I just have to move closer to the screen. There it is. Yeah, you can see it. It's been, well, let's see. Let's move this up. So it started off in January, right here. I guess that's what it is. Is that January? So it started off in January, down in here, in the 89-ish area. It ran to the 93-ish area, fell back down to the 89-ish area again, but not making a new low. And then now we're in the 92-ish area? Is that what that is? 92-ish, yeah. It seems like they're doing the buying. It doesn't seem like, I don't know. The dollar seems to be the king. That's why I started calling it the king a couple of weeks ago. It was becoming very irritating to see that strength in it. King dollar. It's not something we aspire to, trust me. We like a firm dollar, but we don't want some type of rampaging dollar where we're you know, pricing things out, you know. Hey, middle age. I've been long coffee for 6 months and still waiting on my 176 target. I hear you. I've taken profits along the way through. Now, I kept the screen up for you so you can see it live. Let me bring. I just pushed it down. There it is, right there. So there's the ETF. It's down a little bit today, but look at the weekly to it. It's still holding up. Still holding up. Maybe this is this little sell-off here. We'll see how long that lasts. Robin, see what Robin said about the coffee. If temps in the coffee area are growing, what we should do is put my math to the weather. It works pretty well on that too. We should do that sometime. That would be interesting. Get the weather stats out of the growing areas. I bet they must have that. That must be like historic, That has to be, there's got to be a ton of data there, and then I could back test it and see how accurate it worked on that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, see, it's still holding up. What's that? Oh, is that the right one? Oh, that's platinum. I put the wrong screen up there. There it is. Yeah, see, it's holding up pretty well there. And you can see this morning, they opened it down again on the ETF. But what's kind of curious is look at that. The daily is doing a little bounce up when it comes to the gas line 3. And you got the bottoming going on here. That's kind of bullish. When you get that bounce up, usually you get some strength out of it. This was kind of poor, actually. And then it rolled over again. This one here, we got the bounce up here. It took about 4 or 5 days. Then it fell apart again. And then the second one was the real ride right there. Let's go back and look at that a few times. Yeah, like right there. You get through there. It was just a couple days of strength. Here, that was a good one there. So you want to see this green line get through the time manifolds. And so it's negative at this point, obviously, on a daily. But we would love to see the histogram get plus and this green line get through the time manifold. This is going to have to roll down. That time manifold is going to have to roll down. Let's see how it has done it before. Yeah, see, it was just sideways in here and lifted. And then it was rolling up. And that's why the moves are not as strong as these moves. When the time manifold is already high, it puts pressure on it. Let's see. Let's see where I got middle age taken care of. Let's see. Robin says move the dollar chart. Right, did that. Thank you, Robin. And then middle age says watching the weekly real close. Yeah, and that's why I'm talking about the characteristics of weekly. This is the characters. I'm sorry. That's why I'm talking about the characteristics of daily. This widening, when this starts to roll over and tightens, and it starts to lift up, then that could be very positive. And the weekly starts to turn up again. Now, obviously, you have to wonder if it's going to try to skid the surface. Just a mild skidding of the weekly sell, and then turn up. We'll see. All right. What else can we chase after here? What should I label this webinar today? I'm trying to think. The Dow with the error of the head and shoulders. I think we'll do that. I don't remember what I labeled it yesterday, but I think that's the answer right there. All right. I'm just kind of just interesting watching the markets. There they are there. Now it's only down 200. It was down much more than that. Yeah, see, they again, the Federal Reserve is not going to let this stuff just fall apart. The only reason in February, March of 2020 it did it put the volatility funds out of business. They were selling naked puts for, what was it, 12 years. They were selling naked puts for 12 years, and they made $4 or $5 billion, a few of those funds each. And they lost it all in a matter of 3 weeks. It just tells you. It's like that Robinhood thing with the AMC and the what's the other one? GameStop. You let a product fall to like $3 a share, and you're still short it when you've been shorting it from 90. I mean, how much can you make from something that's short at $3 a share? $3. How much can you make something from 90? $90. So why are you short at $3? You really need to get that extra $3? They lost all of that. A lot of people lost a lot of money in that. And even now, I think the GameStop is still trading in the 200s area. So how foolish was that? All right, traders, I think we're going to get out of Dodge here unless anybody has a question. All right. So let's see what else we got to say is happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be, is today Thursday? TGIF. All right. Short week. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. All right, traders, catch you later.